Welcome to Fix It Home Improvement, covering projects that every homeowner should know and great products for home and garden.
Hi, I'm JC, and this is where we share weekly home improvement tips. I'm here with my co-host, Cindy.
Hello, JC.
Hi, Cindy. Today we're going to be talking about doorbells, and we'd like to thank Christina Solway for sending us a new copy of her book, Home Improvement Projects for the Busy and Broke. And it has a wide variety of topics from organizing, painting tips, home improvement, and some design ideas. Mm-hmm. She's the owner of 11-211 Design Studio. Mm-hmm. And it's a very enjoyable book. Not only good tips, but it's easy to read.
I thought it was really funny.
Yeah,
her views on painter's tape was hilarious.
Yeah, funny. She does not like painter's tape. So if you like books on home improvement and
it's not just home improvement, it's more design.
Design and home improvement, you'll like.
Why are you yelling at me? I feel like it was more of a design book than a home improvement book. I mean, she's got tips in there about home improvement.
Well, it was a nice blend of both, and
I like her whole idea too. Like, put all your stuff away.
Right. That's her thing.
That's like one of my things too. And that's why we have problems sometimes because you never put anything away.
So if you want an interesting home improvement book, it's Home Improvement Projects for the Busy and Broke. So in ancient Greece, in the homes of the wealthy, slaves were chained to the front door to answer the door when guests arrived.
This is the history that we're getting.
Those are the first doorbells. And then it wasn't until 1831 that Joseph Henry, an American scientist, developed the first electric doorbell operated by wires.
Not slaves.
And then it wasn't until 1913 where the Sears catalog had the first bell-ringing transformer for sale.
Interesting.
And then the first chimes that were musical rather than just a buzzer were around 1936.
Wow.
There are two main types of doorbells. You have wired and wireless. And with a traditional wired doorbell, you have this button and wires running to a transformer and a chime, and it's powered by your home's electrical system. Mm-hmm. And then the transformer is stepping down the 120 volts, so here in the U.S., to low voltage, usually between 8 and 24 volts. You're going to have 8 in your older homes, 24 volts for newer systems. And the nice thing about a wired doorbell is you never have to replace a battery.
Right.
And then if your doorbell isn't working, one of the first things to check is just the button. And that's the most common problem. Right. So the contacts get bad, they wear down or they bend. Dirt and moisture can get in there and corrode the parts.
Well, sometimes they crack too.
Yeah, they're usually cheap plastic. You're constantly pushing it. So if your wired doorbell isn't working, first thing you can do is just unscrew the button, remove the two wires, and because it's low voltage, you can leave the electric on. Yeah. So basically, every other project in your home, when you're working on electric, you need to turn the electric off to that circuit, but this is the one exception. And so you're going to take the button off, you're going to remove the two wires to the two screw terminals on that button, and then just touch them together. And if the chime works, all you have to do is just replace the button.
Nice.
And there's a wide variety of different replacements, so shapes and colors.
Right. Some light up, some don't.
When you test those two wires, if the chime doesn't work, now you're going to test the transformer and the chime. And the transformer can be in a variety of places in your house. It can be in the basement. It can be on the furnace, on the service panel, off the side of it, inside the service panel. It can be off a ceiling light box or in the attic.
So how do you know where it is?
You don't. You have to go looking for it.
Well, what does it look like?
So it's a little square thing, like 2 inches by 2 inches. So Google it. Google transformer for your doorbell, and you know exactly what you're looking for. Yeah, it can be anywhere. It's fun.
And your doorbell doesn't work.
This is the exciting thing about home improvement.
This might never work.
Because
you can't find the
transformer. we're going wireless. So when you test your transformer, and you're going to be testing generally 16 volts, and again, it can be a variety, and it's going to be marked on there what it is, you're going to need a multimeter. And if you plan on doing a lot of projects around the house, especially electrical, an inexpensive analog multimeter is just a great tool.
Are you going to explain what a multimeter is?
Yes, in detail. So you're going to be able to test AC, so alternating current, your household current. So those are your outlets, switches, electrical water heater, your lights. It'll test for DC, so direct current, batteries. So like any batteries in your house, if you're wondering, well, why isn't my smoke detector working, you can test your car battery. It also checks for continuity. So you can test fuses and switches, water heater elements to make sure they're good. So they're inexpensive. They're probably $15, and it's just a very handy tool if you're going to be doing home improvement projects.
As long as you know how to use it?
Yes. So to test a transformer using an analog multimeter, you're going to turn the dial to the number just above what you're testing. And this is what generally confuses people when they look at this. You've got all these different scales, and they end in different numbers. Like one will end in 10, 50, 150, 300. There's all these markings on it. But if you know what you're testing, all you're going to do is turn your dial to the number just above what you're testing. So, for example, if we look at our transformer and it's stamped 16 volts, we're going to be testing for 16 volts alternating current.
Right.
The most common analog multimeter is going to have on the AC scale AC 10, 50, 150, and 300. So if we're testing for 16 volts, we're going to turn it to AC 50, so the number just above what we're testing, and we're only going to be reading the scale that ends in 50. You don't have to worry about any other number or symbol. You're going to leave the electricity on. You're going to take the two probes off the multimeter, touch the two screw terminals on top of the transformer, and the needle should go to 16. If it doesn't move at all, then you need to change that transformer. If you have a digital multimeter, you would set it to AC 50, or the number just above what you're testing. And many of the digital multimeters don't have AC or DC marked on them.
See, this is why it's confusing.
So you're going to have a V with a wavy line, or a V with 3 lines or 3 dots and one long line over that.
Are they trying to make it confusing?
Yeah. The first time I saw one, I'm like, whoa, what is this? I don't know any of this. Or they're going to have the omega symbol on there. So the V with the wavy line is alternating current, so you can kind of visualize that wave. And DC is the V with 3 dots or 3 dashes and a long line over it. And then that omega symbol, so it's like, I don't even know what that, it's kind of an upside down U, and that's for resistance or continuity.
See, it's silly.
And then, that's why the pros make the big money.
Yeah, I guess, because they know they know what the wavy line means.
Exactly. When you're replacing a transformer, you want to make sure that you're matching it to the chime. So the chime is going to be stamped with how many volts it is.
Right.
Because if you move into an older home, you have no idea, what people...
Well, first off, you're not going to have any idea where the transformer is. Where's the chime? Is it by the transformer?
Usually centrally located in your house.
So,
and
so that would be no?
That should be, right. and it should be easy to find. Whenever you're working with your household current, make sure you're turning off the power to that circuit and then double checking it with an electrical tester, because your household current can definitely kill you under the right circumstances. And I really like a non-contact electrical tester, because you don't have to get close to potentially live wires when you're testing.
You don't have to make contact?
Right. So I like having an analog multimeter for testing a wide variety of things, and then a non-contact, before I'm taking off devices like a switch or an outlet or like this, a transformer. When the electricity's off, now on the old transformer, you're going to remove the wires coming off the outside of the transformer, so you're going to have 2 screw terminals for most of them. And these are low voltage wires. One is going to be going to the chime, and one is going to be going to the button. Or you're going to have 2 wires on one screw, and this is going to a front door and a back door, and then the other wire is going to your chime. If you
did a nice video on the transformer for a doorbell.
Yeah.
Because I drew it.
Yeah. So if you have 2 wires going to one screw, you want to either mark them or wrap them together with tape. And that way when we put it onto the new transformer, you want the wires going to the buttons together, and then the other wire going to the chime on its own screw terminal. And most transformers are not polarity specific, so you can use either screw. You don't have to worry about it, so it's really easy. But if you do have one that's marked plus and minus, in that case, generally the doorbell buttons are going to be run to the screw terminal with the minus on it. Once your wires are off the top, you're going to remove the transformer. You're going to disconnect the hot, the neutral, and the ground wires. And many transformers are not polarity specific. So you might have 2 black wires and 1 green one. So for the main wiring in your house, you're going to have a white wire, a black wire, and then either a bare ground or a green wire. You're going to connect the black wires from your transformer to the white and the black, and then the green to the bare wire or green to green. If you have a transformer that has a black wire, a white wire, and a green wire, in that case you're going to go black to black, so you're hot to hot, white to white, neutral to neutral, and green to green or green to bare. And when you're connecting your house wire to the transformer, your house wire is going to be solid wire and your transformer is going to have stranded wire. And the best connection you're going to get is if you have about a half an inch worth of insulation stripped off your household wire, so the solid wire. You'd want to strip about 1/8 of an inch more off the stranded wire, so strip 5/8 off of the transformer wire, and then use a wire connector with a spring inside, put them together and twist that tight. And that stranded wire is going to wrap itself up in that spring, and you're going to get a wonderful solid connection. Once the transformer is wired and in place, now you're going to take your low voltage wires and put them on either screw terminal. Again, it's usually not polarity specific, so you can put it on either one. If you have your doorbell buttons, group those together. And then some transformers are going to give you multiple voltage, so they're going to have 3 screw terminals. And the most common you're going to see is going to have a voltage of 8, 16 or 24 volts, so it's going to work on any of the old ones or the newer chimes.
Ooh, fancy.
And you're going to have a pair that's marked. So you have to use, and you're just going to use one pair for the voltage marked. So you're going to have, for example, you're going to see 8V, and there's going to be 2 arrows going to 2 different screw terminals, and you're going to see 16V, and there's going to be 2 arrows, and these are usually stamped right onto a piece of cardboard right on the front of the transformer. And
So don't throw that out?
No, that's not packing. Keep that cardboard. And so you want to match that and use 2 of the screw terminals. Now, if you've replaced your button and you've tested your transformer and it's working and you're still not getting a chime, you're going to test the chime by removing the cover, and you're going to have 3 screw terminals. One's going to be marked T or trans or com, and then this is the wire that's going to the transformer. You're going to have 2 other screw terminals marked F and R for front and rear, or it's going to say front and back. And you're going to use a multimeter. You're going to set it to the number just above the volts marked on the chime. You're going to take 1 probe to trans, and you're going to take 1 probe to, let's say, the front door screw. And now you're going to have a helper push in the front door button and hold it, and it should show voltage. And if it does, your chime is bad. When you're replacing the chime, you want to make sure that you're matching it to your transformer. Or you can just buy a kit and it comes with the transformer, the chime, and a new button. And when you're replacing the chime, make sure that you tape the wires to the wall or wrap the wires around a pencil so that those wires don't fall behind the wall, because that's a real drag, man. And then you want to mark the wires. So with masking tape, you want to make them mark them to which screw they're going to, so either T, F, or R. And some of the new wired doorbell kits are pretty cool, so they have a wide variety of sounds from old-fashioned, just ding-dong, to Westminster. You've got seasonal sounds, holiday music. You've got animal sounds, so you can get barking or wild antelope. And if you live in a large home, you can have a hard time hearing your doorbell, so you can actually upgrade to a 24-volt system. This is louder. You can run multiple chimes. You can run longer runs of wire. And then you can also get sound extenders. So these are either wired or wireless, and you can add on a chime in another area of the house.
Interesting.
And then if you just don't want to work with wires or electric, you can go wireless. So they're very easy to install. Many have very long ranges, so you can place the chimes anywhere in the house. So you can just put it in the best location where people are generally. And you can get wireless doorbells with video, audio, and night vision. The doorbell button has a transmitter that sends a signal to a receiver in the chime, and some of these kits are going to come with 2 chimes for large homes, or just for convenience, so you can put one like in a garage or in your backyard.
Really?
So a few things you're looking for with wireless is the operating range. You can get 150 to 1,000 feet. And
that's a big difference.
And in most homes, you're looking for a range of 200 to 400 feet. They work about the best. Your power options. So you have batteries, rechargeable batteries, or you have plug-in units. A lot of times they'll have a chime that plugs into an outlet. The number of doorbell buttons. Some kits come with 6 buttons. So if you have the size of your house.
You get a button, you get a button.
You can get frequency blocking for neighbors with wireless systems, volume control, which is a nice feature. So if you have small kids that are taking naps or people on a split schedule, you can turn down the volume of the doorbell. You can get visual alerts for hearing impaired, and then a wide variety of sound options if you don't like just the basic chime or bell sound. What's great about a lot of these wireless systems is that you can add a camera and an intercom, so it works really like a security system. And many of these can be viewed remotely, and you can speak through your smartphone, which is pretty well. So somebody rings your bell, you get a notification on your smartphone, and you can answer it, and you can see who's outside, so it really makes it seem like somebody's home, and you say, hey, I'm busy right now. Can you come back later, or just don't ever come back.
Please don't rob me.
Yeah. And then the doorbell buttons themselves are very easy to put on, so many come with screws. Some are just using double back tape to keep them in place. And then if you have a tough surface like stucco or brick, you can use a couple of dabs of silicone and then hold it in place with painter's tape for 24 hours, and then you're going to have a really nice connection. It's easy to remove down the road if you have to.
Right. What are some top-rated companies?
So Ring, R-I-N-G, Wi-Fi, video doorbell. So we saw this at a lot of the hardware shows when they first came out. And the chime works either wired or wireless. So this is pretty cool. So if you have an existing wired system, you can wire it to that so you never have to change the battery.
Oh, nice.
Or if you want to just use the battery, then you can use battery. So it's really very versatile there. And then you can see and talk to anybody who rings your doorbell over any smart device. They've got an app. And then this has night vision with infrared LEDs. It has a motion sensor, so it alerts you to any activity by your front door or back door.
Wow.
So pretty cool.
Who knew? Doorbells were so cool.
Yeah, very cool. Heath Zenith, so it's Heath, Zenith, wireless, was rated as one of the best low-price doorbells. Jacob Jensen, so Jacob Jensen, was top-rated in its design and quality. And this has a 450-foot range. It can be used with unlimited doorbells, they say. Skybell, this is a video doorbell. Honeywell, Sado Tech, it's Sadoteck. Avantech, so Avantech has a 1,000-foot range and 52 different chime sounds and adjustable volume. And Avantech is Avantek. And then Swann, Swann, has a doorbell with an SD card to play all your favorite songs as your chime.
So even though we're going to title this episode something fancy like doorbells...
Do you love the simplicity of my titles?
But we did talk a lot about electrical testers and multimeters, so why don't you list a couple top-rated companies? So
top-rated, you can get Gardner Bender and Sperry, and they're professional-grade testers, but you can get them very inexpensive at the hardware stores. And then Klein Tools makes a top-rated, and they make non-contact and multimeters.
Right. We have a good collection of...
I love my testers and my hammers.
Yes. We also have a lot of videos on both of those, too, don't we?
Yes.
Do you have anything else to add?
I would say if you have a wired doorbell that's not working, it's usually just the button. So it's a very easy do-it-yourself project. Just pull off the old button, touch the wires together. You don't have to turn off the electric. And usually that's going to be the problem. So easy fix. If you're having a hard time hearing your chime, you can get an additional one with these extender kits, which are nice. And then for easy replacement or for more security, look at these wireless systems online. Just amazing what they can do now.
Space age. Let's wrap this up.
You can subscribe to our podcast on iTunes, Stitcher, the Spotify mobile app, or the Google Play mobile app.
If you enjoyed it, please leave us a review.
You can check out our videos on our YouTube channel, Fix It Home Improvement.
And you can subscribe to that as well.
You can check out our book or download our book from Amazon.
Yeah, buy our book.
Home Improvement Solutions, What Every Homeowner Should Know.
If you enjoyed it, please leave us a 5-star rating and review.
You can email us at fixitpodcast@gmail.com.
Thank you for listening.
Talk to you next week.